It's bad. Anime.
All right, let's just fucking do it. Hi everybody, I'm John.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Bad Anime, the podcast where we decide, is this anime bad? And I'll sync that up later for everybody out there. But today,
Do you really have to? I don't know if anyone's going to listen to this episode, so I don't know if you have to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Break it wide open immediately because so to break this open, to crack this egg within an inch of its chicken life. Okay. So we did a podcast about Hana No Asuka Gumi, the OVA. And it was refound in 2020, and we did a podcast about it, and it did so fucking badly that we decided, let's do the second one just cause. So this is what this is. We're doing Hana No Asuka Gumi 2 because
well, it was so funny because we had it down in the pipe where we're like, we could do the second one because there's interesting reasons as to why we'd wanted to do it.
Sure.
And then the first episode came out, and I forget, it was either you or me who said, like, no one cared. Should we do it again? And we both said, well, we already watched the second one, so we're going to talk about it.
So we kind of just have to anyways, but also, fuck everybody. We're going to do it.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Yeah. The
And
first
as I
one
mentioned-
continue.
As you
Sorry.
mentioned, we're both also maybe a little exhausted because we had a very long day yesterday. And,
Yeah, we did.
And I had a long day today. I'm moving soon, so Bouncy can see my barren apartment behind me.
I know,
And
not one Gundam in sight. It's very sad, honestly.
not one Gundam in sight, not one Kamen Rider, and especially after the premiere of Fudo PI, it feels wrong and weird for me not to have any Kamen Rider present.
It does.
So to compensate, I was also going through my liquor cabinet and saying, like, you know what? I'm never going to drink this or this. You know, a lot of stuff I'm not going to drink. You know, either it was brought over or whatever. There was a little bit of jalapeno tequila left, so I put that in a glass with ice, and to provide a little mixer for relief, I threw in a lime White Claw because I figured those flavors complement each other well. So,
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the energy I'm rolling into this podcast with today, folks.
Rolling it with a lime White Claw and a jalapeno tequila mixed together. That is phenomenal. Any person of any Mexican heritage, I believe, would commend you right now.
Or they'd want to stab me, whichever one came first.
Either or.
You know what? It's going to generate a reaction. That's all I care about. And this just tastes like a spicy White Claw. That's all it tastes like, really.
That sounds really nice, actually. And I didn't tell you this
Not
before
bad.
the podcast, but I'm also drinking something as well.
Ooh, what do you have, Sailor?
Because I'm an agent of chaos. I am drinking.
God. I can see it.
I'm drinking a glass of red wine right now.
What the fuck is that glass?
Okay, this is a really fun glass. Okay, so y'all can't see it right now, but so this is it's a fat glass. It's got no stem. And then there's a mini glass in the big glass. And when you pour wine into the mini glass, it has these little spouts at the bottom, so it shoots out your wine.
Is it an aerator?
It like aerates / decants your wine as it does
so
it.
It's an aerator in a glass. That's what I assumed it was, but it looked like it. Okay, that's kind of neat, honestly.
It's pretty cool. It probably does nothing, but I'm
going to stop you right there. It actually definitely does something.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
because I got an aerator for my brother. So how it works is he would basically, it was like a 2-in-1 thing. It was a wine opener, but it also had a spout. So you would press a button to have the wine pour out of the spout. Like it would suck up the wine out of the bottle and pour it out of the spout. Mm-hmm. It totally changes the flavor of the wine.
Really?
Yeah, no, it totally does. And that's why they say you should aerate wine. And I thought it was bullshit, obviously, because, you know, as a blue-collar gentleman, I think, oh, that's some pretentious nonsense. I just want a glass of red. But then when you do aerate it, especially because I drink almost exclusively red.
Me too.
Yeah.
I cannot stand white wine.
White wine's like a lot of things in my life. Once you give it to me when I'm already drinking, I'm not going to turn it down.
Me too.
But I'm never going to buy it.
Yeah,
But-
no, I would
but then
never
again-
buy it in a store. And then like rosé is only if I'm kissing the boys on weekends or something like that.
So every weekend.
Yeah, so every weekend.
Yeah.
I'm a rosé man on weekends, you know.
Yeah, no, it's the summer. So, well, even though it's late September, even though we're recording this in early September, it still feels a lot like summer because it's blazing hot.
It was 80 degrees yesterday. You nearly blacked out, or did black out from heat exhaustion, actually.
For only like a minute or two before I chug some water, but like actually, okay, breaking kayfabe right now. Have we ever mentioned Sabretooth by name on this podcast? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. No, but we
Now's
have
the
a
time.
we have a band.
Yeah, you and I have been in this band in particular in some form or iteration for the past probably 10, 12 years at this point.
We have.
And but it wasn't until 2016 we got our big boy pants on. We started recording, uploading songs to the Spotify. It's Sabretooth. We're a metal band based out of Long Island and Brooklyn, New York, depending on who member of the band you're referencing. It's five wonderful gentlemen. We have 2 singles out on Spotify and wherever you get your music, literally everywhere. The first 2 singles, Last Man Drinking and Love Just a Loser's Game. You can go listen to them now. We have another single slated out to come out fairly soon. We actually, me and Bouncy we were just talking about recording that before this podcast came up. We started recording this.
And the reason that Rob nearly or did black out from heat exhaustion yesterday is because we were playing a show outside.
We were playing a festival, yeah.
It was like September 10th. Here in New York, and it was also September 10th around the world too. But here in New York specifically, it was just very hot. It was like in the 80s degree wise, so we were just sweating like pigs the entire time.
Oh yeah, no, we were all sweating like pigs, and I could tell because it was funny. We had a lot of energy on stage still, but you could tell we were affected by something. And when that happens, it's usually because alcohol's involved. That wasn't the case with us. I mean, a few of us had a couple beers. Mike, the other guitar player in our band, had more than a couple, so he took a nap afterwards.
He had quite a few. He napped until 8 p.m. after we played.
Oh, I was so happy. He looked like a new man after he napped. I was so happy for him.
Oh, I'm so happy for him. He looked devastatingly tired. It was a good time for a nap.
He kicked right back up. But no, it was funny because I was replaying this set in my head, and we played a really good show, but I just realized there's like 1 or 2 songs I just have no recollection of playing. And I remember all I remember on stage was chugging water like it was the end of the earth, as some people put it. But I've seen plenty of video back from the show, and it was good. I just don't remember some of it. I'm like, wow, wasn't even hammered.
You know,
I think I had 2 beers.
Speaking of having zero recollection of anything, talk about Hana No Asuka Gumi too. yeah.
That's a great double meening because I almost forgot what we were doing right now, and also the fact I'm just like, oh yeah, what happened in the show. But before we start with it, we should probably clarify why we actually want to do the second one legitimately.
Yeah.
Because the big thing with the first one is that it looked like it was made with the budget of a ham sandwich. Like that was the entire production budget. So it looked like poop.
And we're talking about like boar's head ham. We're not even talking about like any like high-end ham of any kind. It was like boar's head slipped into kind of 2 pieces of Wonder Bread. And that was about what we got in the first one.
And instead of mayo, someone's spitting it.
Yeah. But, and we both called it bad at the time too, because it genuinely was... we watched it, right? And I think it was good for like the history of anime, and like at the time in like the late 1980s when it came out, it was a good time period to like analyze a little bit. But after that, or beyond that, it really wasn't much of anything. It was kind of okay. The story was coherent enough.
It was weird because the characters were engaging. The story was all over the place.
Yeah.
Like the characters were cool, and there were some great character moments, and like the motivations are clear. But the whole narrative got really jumbled and confusing.
It really did.
It involved, our girl Asuka, and this relates to the episode today, so we'll talk about it. This isn't a sequel to the first OVA. They're actually like just very different points in Asuka's life as a character.
But
yeah, she's this badass schoolgirl involved with all these girl gangs.
Right.
And and then a lot of the plot overall, the first OVA had to do with like a turf war between all these girl gangs.
Mm-hmm.
And it got very confusing because it was an OVA and they didn't have a lot of time to flesh things out. It was a lot of very quick scenes of girls trying to explain like the political aspect of their world.
And they kept introducing characters but did not dive into those characters, and they kept introducing facets of this gang world, this hashtag girl gang world, but did not dive in deep to it. So, I mean, they didn't really have time per se, but at the same time, it was a bit jumbled beyond Asuka's character and like the girl, the damsel in distress of the OVA, Yoko. Beyond those 2 characters, there was really no stake in any of the characters. There was no real linear progression. I mean, it had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end, and just a bunch of just jumping scenes in between, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So you got motivation, but you didn't really get any connecting through line. So it was weird. So with that, even though we were engaged by the character stuff, we had to call it bad because of the incoherence sorry, not really incoherent, they're just hard to follow.
Yeah.
And the fact the show, like I said, looked like it was legitimately drawn on a piece of toast.
Yeah.
Like, backgrounds weren't finished. Facial feature, it wasn't as bad as other shows we've seen. I'm looking at you, X-Arm.
God.
But no, it just wasn't that good. So we had to give it the bad.
It was just, it was unfinished in many ways.
It didn't have a budget.
Right.
However, as we mentioned in the first episode of this OVA, when we chronicled it, in between the first and second OVA, a decently well-liked live-action series came out. So that brought a lot of renewed, and there was a movie as well. There was a lot of renewed interest in the original manga. So I don't even think it was the same team of people involved because it didn't look like any of the same. The character designs were all based on the manga, but nothing about the animation looked the same at all between these two OVAs. So presumably a new company said, or the new team said, let's do this again, but let's put some money behind it. Yeah,
and they did this time around. I don't know what your feelings on the art were this time around, but it was 100% an improvement.
Total
from the original. Oh yeah, right. And everything beyond that was not hard. It wasn't bad at all. I thought it was pretty good for the time period and where it was situated. I thought it did a pretty decent job with the art this time around.
Yeah, no, the art was good. If it ranged in quality a little bit again.
Yes.
Because there was one fight scene in particular. There was two moments in particular. She had this one fight scene with a bunch of these shadow figures with gold masks on. That was really cool, very stylized, kind of unique, with the whole almost like a Japanese taiko drum soundtrack. So kind of traditional Japanese music was thrown in there during that fight scene. So that was sick.
Yeah.
And when the girls were ninjas, it just made sense.
Yes.
There was a lot of cool color work in there. And there was another scene with the old anime snow.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my God. The ending kind of sequence where they're fighting in the snow and the winner of this tournament that they were putting on or something.
Yep.
And it was actually really cool. I really like the snowy scenes.
Yeah, no, so it was weird because there was some great moments of artwork in the anime. But the rest of it wasn't bad necessarily. It was just kind of there.
I think it was passable generally.
Let's call it serviceable.
Yeah, serviceable. There was no point.
It did the point.
There was no point where I was like, "This is fantastically drawn," except for those specific scenes. The snow scene, I think, was probably my favorite in terms of how it was constructed. But everything else was fine. It's all right. It's definitely an improvement, and that's what we were looking for in the second one, in Hana No Asuka Gumi, as I like to call it.
Also, we actually should say the official subtitle was Hana No Asuka Gumi 2: Lonely Cats Battle Royale,
which just sounds like a song from the 1950s.
You know what? I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
It sounds like a follow up to Tom Jones's "What's New Pussycat" or "What's Up Pussycat."
Yeah. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Yes, I sang a different song on purpose.
I was like, that's not the song.
Yeah. I was kind of referencing a John Mulaney bit.
What's new, Asuka? Whoa. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing what's new about Asuka. We actually get her backstory.
Oh, please keep going. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Are you all right?
I don't know why that got me so good.
But yeah, the OVA opens up with Asuka kicking butt.
Yep.
And then we learn she and a lot of the other girl gangs are a big well-known fighters in this girl gang circle. Were basically put in a tournament against their will. Yes.
Oh my God. So all of these, and it's constructed by a lot of schoolgirls actually are behind this whole thing.
Yes.
They construct this betting tournament. It's where they conduct their bidding at this club, and they're betting at this club called Strawberry Milk.
Yes.
And what happens at the Strawberry Milk Club is that all of these people get together and they print out this big bracket, this big roster of all these girls in different gangs, and they place bets on who's going to win the tournament. But the girls in the
betting on tournaments, who would do that?
I've never heard of anybody that would do anything like that. Even with horses, I've never heard of that.
Horses or wrestlers?
No, never. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as DraftKings. All right, that doesn't exist. But in this world,
fucking Okada, man. Asshole. It was Naito's time. And then Okada just said, no, I'm Kazuchika Okada. I'm going to hit Will Ospreay with a Rainmaker and then go have a kid.
And
Fuck
listen,
you.
I was betting on that so hard because
Yeah.
Gato, when you give Gato time to pick Okada for a tournament, he will pick Okada as the winner for a tournament. Okada, you could pick anybody in that company. Okada always has a 75% chance of winning that tournament. And it's
I know, and
ridiculous.
it upsets me greatly.
It's ridiculous. And not to take us too off topic, but I owe Kazuchika Okada and his...
Have we been on topic?
And his baby son. No, fuck this. I entrusted Okada and his baby
my
son or
God.
daughter with winning me my second G1 Climax tournament. And
Well, there
boy,
you go.
did they pull through, and I'm a twofer now. I've won on 2020, 2022. I'm going to suck dick in 2023. But when 2024 comes around, I swear to God, I'm coming back. I'm coming back for
Well,
the
there we
three-peat.
go. Yeah, no, I started hard in 2019, and then after that, it's been like a lot of series of just like, or God damn it. I've had a wild arc in this tournament myself, so I understand the struggles of now I feel more beat up than Hiroki Goto. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Hiroki Goto. What a
My boy.
What a boy.
Asuka.
What a dude. Asuka. Yeah, so she's in this tournament, and she's got no knowledge that she's in this tournament at all. And she's just kind of fighting all these people, just being like, why are all these people coming at me all of a sudden? Like, I know I'm like,
Yep.
like not like the most pleasant person to be around, but still, like, I don't know why all these ladies are trying to beat me up. But she keeps beating up people. And at the Strawberry Milk Club, they keep being like, oh my God, Asuka's doing such a great job. And there are a few other characters that we should probably mention at this point, right? So Asuka, much like in the first OVA, she has a good friend / person that roasts her from time to time for having a flat chest. Her name is Miko. Miko is also in the first one. A little bit different character design in this one, but it's Miko. Kind of same personality. And then there's this other girl that she's trying to protect, whose name is Nogi. In this OVA, and this is a girl that constantly gets picked on at school. She gets
the one they constantly bully for fat shit, like the one they constantly fat shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wrote this down in my notes actually. I even took notes on this OVA. Crazy.
Nice.
But there was one time when these two girls are bullying Nogi in the parking lot or the kind of like schoolyard or whatever. And one of them just goes, one of them looks at her and just says, wait, hold on. I have it in my notes here. I'm going to try to find it.
Take your time. Take your time.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. No, that was a different quote. I have a few quotes over here.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So the girl said, hey, Nigo, if you sit there like that, she's sitting under a tree, by the way. They said, hey, Nigo, if you sit there like that, you may just become a fat pig. And I don't understand the animosity, but also I don't understand the reasoning behind why sitting under a tree would make you a fat pig. But then Nigo responds, to my hilarity, she responds, but I didn't even eat breakfast this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what?
Much like the first one with the young girl who was coerced into prostituting herself.
Yes.
I felt so bad for Nogi because she was the one basically bullied into bulimia or some type of eating disorder.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make fun of bulimia, but bulimia. She got bullied into...
That's really funny, but I don't know if I should be openly laughing at that, so I'm just going to drink some tequila and White Claw, and I'll acknowledge how awesome that joke was.
Thank you so much. I will have a sip of this wine, which I actually don't know what kind. I read the bottle like 4 times, and I have no idea what kind of wine this is.
All I can tell you is it's red.
I didn't even look at the color. You're right. But yeah, Nogi gets bullied. She gets bullied continuously, and Asuka has to come and protect her all the time.
And we should mention the 2 girls bullying her are the 2 gambling-addicted teenagers who started this whole tournament. So all they're doing is gambling and fat-shaming one of their classmates. And I'm like, pretty effective villain building right there.
Yeah, we hate them pretty much off the get-go. It's pretty easy to dislike them.
But I will say the show did go out of its way to portray them as two kids wildly over their head.
Yeah, it did.
Because how the whole tournament is functioning is basically they went to like some gang leaders like, hey, these are the fights. Make sure these fights happen.
Right.
So it's like them working with the gangs to make sure these participants fight. And it's so funny they just didn't tell Asuka. That's her whole like kind of crux. And she's like, why are they attacking me?
Right.
And little does she know, with every fight, she's advancing more and more in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, these two girls realize we're in deep in this and we have no way out. We're kind of boned. So they try to like talk to the gang leaders and say, hey, maybe this isn't a great idea. And I forgot what the gang leaders did. They either stabbed her or something, or they just, it was at like they're having dinner. And they just kind of like, they cut her or something. It's like, yeah, no, you're in deep. You're paying us the money you promised us.
Do you know what?
We're giving you your tournament.
Funny, funny tangent here. Maybe not funny.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
You're smiling ear to ear, so I think it's gonna be fun.
I don't know, but it might be funny to you and me. But
Perfect.
Which is all right because we're the only ones that are going to be listening to this particular episode. So,
Wasn't ready for that.
so you know when they're at dinner. Do you remember that scene where they're at dinner? The two twins or the two bullies are at dinner with like somebody that's actually behind the tournament, and she's like kind of egging them on, like you got to keep going. They're like, no, we're really in deep. Like Asuka's gonna kill us. That place looked so similar. The drawing of that looked so similar to. I think the Crown pub in Tokyo, where it's kind of like looking over, like it's next to a window. It's on like a higher level. You're at like a few different tables pushed together, looking out the window. I don't know why it reminded me of just like chugging red eyes in in the Crown pub in Tokyo.
Yeah, at the Crown pub and the Akihabara one. There's a few of them in Japan. Yeah, you were having a red eye, which is a beer and tomato juice, and I was having a China Blue, which is like a lychee mixed drink. We both said, this isn't that good, and then we just got beers like normal people.
But we had to do it, and we knew it wouldn't be that good.
Well, no, we were... In the back of our heads, we kind of knew it wouldn't be good, but we were hoping, like, maybe it's good. And then we had it, it's like, not good.
Kind of like how I felt about this OVA.
Oh my god!
Because all right,
fair point.
From there, right? There's also kind of another point of the plot that is, I think, important to mention.
Asuka's backstory.
Yeah, Asuka's backstory, which is very important to mention.
Yeah, no, she comes like they show her entering the city. She has a different haircut and all. She's a little younger.
Yeah,
and one character who I forgot her name was like her mentor figure, and at one point Asuka's like holding her chest, or I forgot where, like she got hurt, and then this woman who became her mentor figure kept saying, don't cover your injuries like that, you're just drawing more attention to it, keep fighting, which is kind of smart, kind of stupid. I don't know where I fall on that yet.
I don't know either.
Like, it's great because you get a lot of these like machismo, like rah action lines, which is funny because you typically get that from male characters. I've never seen female characters have this degree of like rah action type stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy,
and it just shows kind of cool because this was back in the 80s, and then you have stuff like this. I think the manga dates back to the 70s, and Skiban Deka dates back even further. So it's just this cool era where there were just badass macho females in Japanese fiction.
It's pretty sick.
So it's pretty sick and very forward thinking. I mean, if they remade some of this now, I think it'd be a lot more popular.
And you know, to my knowledge too, sorry to cut you off, but to my knowledge too, a lot of the characters in this show were not very sexualized, I guess, which is extremely refreshing. And I didn't really think about till right now, because as you were mentioning, like this manga was written in the 70s, and these OVAs came out in the 80s, and just like all the best characters are female characters, and I'm struggling to think of a part of either one where, you know, somebody had just like gigantic boobs or something. Like even that, like
never.
It's compared to like the anime that we get today in that regard. There's really none of that. It's just like these very strong characters that are just like fighting and actually care about like just like defeating each other in battle, and it's super refreshing in that way.
It's amazing that you have to go back for almost 40 years now to get something so refreshing, which is kind of insane when you really break it down in that context. But yeah, to your point, there is virtually no sexualization. I can't think of any moment where anyone is sexualized at all. And even in the way, like, because sometimes it's weird, because in some shows, nothing narratively going on sexualizes the characters, but the way the show will be drawn or shot,
Sure.
like they'll linger on a set of boobs
Right.
or a panty, and they will be sexualized, just not narratively speaking. But in this show, you got neither.
Yeah, neither.
You got virtually no sexualization.
They're fighters. They're just in it to fight.
Just badasses.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's just so funny when we go back in our minds and think of everything we covered during Harem Month. We're like, okay, there can be strong female characters that aren't centered around their tits.
That is the other side of Asuka's coin.
Because you could say Ria's Gremory is a strong character, maybe, or Akano's a strong character, but half their character traits are on their chest. Right. So
I'm gonna have to clip that and put it in an intro somewhere or something like that.
Sure. Take it and run with it. And you can also take this, like, the sounds of my ice rattling next to my microphone.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. Please, more of that. Thank you. The other section of the plot too that I wanted to get into a little bit, and I guess this leads us to maybe like more so the ending of the show or the ending of the OVA is so that mentor character that you mentioned, who kind of talked to Asuka, maybe taught her a few things. Her name is Yoko, I believe, in this OVA.
Okay, I think it is. Yeah.
Which is, number one, interesting because Asuka's mentee in the first OVA was Yoko, and now her mentor in the second OVA is named Yoko, but it's a different character.
Passing the torch, baby.
Passing that Yoko torch to a new Yoko.
I just saw the audio on my mic and just went, wowzers.
I'm going to just when I get to the edit, I'm just going to bump that so hard so it's going to be even louder. It's going to be really nice.
If you bass boost it, I'll
bass boost the hell out of it. But
I'm so sorry, listeners, for whoever who has to hear that. It's like, thanks, Rob. Why are you trying to string my ears? I'm just trying to do my job or go for a run.
This is probably the most disjointed podcast we've ever had collectively. So if you're like listening to this as a first time listener, it's usually not this crazy, but we like it when it is. So.
But sometimes you just have to live life a little bit and, see what happens.
Exactly.
Me and Bouncy could have easily said, no, we're a little tired and whacked out from the long days we're having and we're already drinking. Maybe we shouldn't record a podcast. But we said, no, I'm going to put my computer down. We're each going to plug in our microphones and we're going to go for it. Just go ham.
We owe it to ourselves.
This is how we decompress.
This is how we do
it. You're actually just listening to a prolonged therapy
You're
session.
bearing witness. And, okay, so to Yoko's character, right? In this one, in Asuka 2, Yoko's character is Miko's older sister, notably,
right,
in this version. And Yoko is kind of a hardened badass. She mentored Asuka in a couple of ways. And we're introduced to her in this OVA when she just sees Miko on the side of the street and she just kicks her ass. She just beats the shit out of her little sister.
I remember that scene. That scene was
cool.
It
was cool. It was some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They had a great fight scene. Miko just absolutely knocked her around. And it kind of gets to the last area in the tournament, right? You go through the tournament, they're going through it. Asuka eventually realizes that she's in this tournament. And we get to the final, which was supposed to be Asuka versus somebody else called some other fucking person called Saishu, which I don't know anything about, so I'm not even going to go on about her. But
you don't
Saishu in the tournament is replaced last minute in the finals with Asuka.
If I remember correctly, it was Yoko who said, "I'm replacing you." Deal with it.
That's exactly what happened.
Which I thought was really badass.
It was so cool.
Just it's very much the Darth Vader, I'm altering the deal type of badass moment, if you will. And I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff where a villain is just, a villain in that case, it's a little tough to call Yoko a villain necessarily, but whenever you have an antagonist,
right? Antagonist. That's the word.
Yeah, who is just that cool, just being like, it's me now. I love
it was
that kind
cool.
of stuff.
Yeah, and then Saishu, I don't remember what happened to her. It doesn't matter. She just backed off, I guess. And then
no, I think she just kind of said, "I'll get you next time," and ran away.
Yeah, she turned into the Wicked Witch of the West and disappeared on a rainbow carried by monkeys. It was actually amazing. You got to watch this anime, guys.
Yeah, no, you got to check this shit out because you won't believe it until you see it, and then you'll see it and you go, "Fuck."
They also
guys.
predicted COVID. It's pretty insane, and to be honest. But either way,
but the crazy thing is, the Animaniacs reboot did that.
Did it?
No, but like there was a lot of coincidences where the characters were wearing masks in like 2019. It's like,
Oh, we see where that happened.
yeah, so stuff happened.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot predicted the future. That's all I'm saying.
But Yoko got in the fight today because her and Asuka tangoed, and it was a pretty sick fight. You know, Asuka has her coin. That's her main weapon of choice, so there was a lot of cool stuff going on with that.
Yes, we should remind everyone it's the coin that's it's attached. It's a solid gold coin attached to a solid gold
That's
chain.
right. Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like a it's like a yo-yo that doesn't retract. It's very similar to the yo-yo in Skib on Deca.
Yes.
But Bouncy, I know I mentioned this in the first episode when we covered this, but I had to mention it again. In the live-action TV series, it was 23 episodes. She didn't get the chain till episode 23. So she was just like throwing the coin at people or like putting the coin in her knuckles and punching people with it.
Wow.
And there was a lot of great scenes where like she would
God.
throw the coin, it'd bounce off a million things, roll off something, and then just the coin would drop in her hand. And remember, it was a live action show, so they actually got a Japanese girl who was probably like anywhere between 14 and 16 to play the part. So, and she was just a badass character.
That's pretty
But
sick.
she was just a very average Japanese very average looking Japanese teenager, and she presented like such a badass, and she had so much confidence in herself. I absolutely adored
That's so cool. I love that.
it. Yeah. You and I should definitely do it. We got to do some live action reviews.
Definitely.
Of either Skib on Deca or Hana No
We
Asuka
have
Gumi.
we have a long list of live actions that we should probably get to at some point soon.
At some point, especially when they're either anime tie-ins, anime adaptations, or they predate certain anime.
Right.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, and not all of them are terrible.
They're not.
What I know, the meme is live action anime adaptations are shit because in the past
20 years, 30 years, probably.
I'm gonna say 20
years, yeah. Well, I've never seen a good live action anime adaptation, but you know, people argue about like Netflix Cowboy Bebop that it wasn't that bad, and I agree it wasn't that bad, but it still was not very good.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's you know, you didn't miss much.
Yeah.
It was just it was whatever. But we'll have an episode about that, I'm sure, someday.
Yeah, honestly, I need to rewatch Cowboy Bebop because I don't remember a lot of it at all. 'Cause I watched it pretty early. I don't even know if I finished it. I watched it pretty early on in my anime journey.
We can add that to the list. I could use a rewatch of that.
Let's give it a rewatch,
okay.
and I'll see
We'll
where
see
we
where
are.
we go.
Because now you're so much more jaded as an anime fan.
I
feel like
am. I think it'd be really a lot of fun because I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop in a very long time, and it would be fun to get back to it, to be honest, and see if it's actually like good or like not good or. Yeah, whatever. It's very widely praised, so we could tackle it probably. Hana No Asuka Gumi 2.
Lonely Cats Battle Royale.
Lonely Cats Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
So, right. Then Asuka has the fight with Yoko at the end. And I can't for the life of me remember how this ended, but I think Yoko won.
I think Yoko won and just said, Asuka, get good, and she said, I will. Is that how it ended?
So. And that was and then like the last scene is with Asuka and Miko and Nogi, and they're all like hanging out, and Nogi's like, I made you guys chocolates, and Asuka's like, I'll eat a chocolate, and she smiled, and then that was the end of it.
I think that was the end of it, yeah, because they were just happy that Nogi was eating
Yeah.
again.
Oh yeah, that's right. Even though, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I remember that scene, but I don't really remember who won between Yoko and Asuka, I'll be honest.
I don't remember. I think it was Yoko, because I remember being kind of shocked at the end. I was like, oh, really? Like, she beat her. Interesting. But they never really even kind of got into the nitty gritty of this tournament of like who was winning money, because like Yoko just got herself in there at the last minute, and I guess it wasn't even part of the tournament, so it probably just dissolved at that point. I didn't see really any like conclusion of this like tournament arc of sorts.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty much it. Like that it's over.
Yeah, that was the end of the OVA. We got a glimpse into this, presumably this much larger arc in the manga this was adapted from. It was an interesting ride for all the reasons I expected it to be, because coming from the first one especially, that did engage us at points, but was so haphazardly constructed, I was naturally very excited to watch this one. And when I watched it, I don't know if excitement is necessarily the word I was feeling. here's the thing, and I guess we can get into our final thoughts on the whole thing.
Let's do it.
So I'll start it off. Tough for reasons, but I gotta go not bad. With this
okay.
One.
Okay.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It was well constructed. However, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was nearly as interesting as the first one.
Okay.
In some way,
I can see that
in some ways, because a lot of the same notes that I found interesting in the first one. You know, Yoko's struggles with I believe it was Yoko in the first one. I don't remember the character who was going through who was getting bullied relentlessly.
Nogi.
No, that was one in this one.
Oh, the one in the first one was Yoko, which makes things very confusing.
Oh, that was Yoko. Yeah, the whole thing was a mess. But like the Yoko stuff in the first one was really good, and Asuka just slapping the shit out of her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To get her to woman up and take life by the horns. Asuka had that great rival in Crimson in the first one, and like the over the top fight scene on the burning boat with the crows. The high points in the first one were better than the high points in this one. Mm-hmm. Just from a contextual stance and a narrative sense, like all the insane shit that was happening. The stuff here wasn't nearly as wild. It looked a lot better. Mm-hmm. And it was still very cool, the high points of this one. This one just had the benefit of being well more constructed in a visual sense. It just looked a lot better. And narratively too, it wasn't as jumbled as the first one.
Yes, it was more. It was a lot more highly focused this time around.
Yeah, this one was way more, I guess you could say, streamlined, if that's an appropriate term to use here. So this one definitely felt more concise and solid. It was longer, but we're way more focused on our central narrative and our characters and our struggles, and it just looked good. It just wasn't as bombastic and wild as the first one. So I can't call this particular OVA bad, but at the end of the day, it was just pretty good. You know, it was okay. It was just kind of okay. I am going to remember the first one more because of its shortcomings and more of the high points. So this one is all right. It's not bad, but that's all I can say. It's just not bad.
I think for me, kind of like along the lines of what you were saying, this one was just not really that memorable, I think. Which is why I feel like we watched it a month ago, but we struggled to remember anything about it basically before we even started podcasting. Right. And I had to look it up again just to be like, all right, I literally skimmed through it a few more times since then because I was like, I just want to.
Yeah, thank God you take very good notes.
You're right. I took notes the first time and I was like, okay, good. We're good. Like we got some semblance of a plot here and whatnot. But I think just generally compared to the first one, I agree with you in that the high spots were not as good. And I think the general, it's kind of laid on a plane. It just laid on a single plane, and it didn't necessarily get amazing at any point, and it didn't necessarily get shitty at any point, and kind of wrapped up in that package. I generally, the big criticism I have of it is I thought it was just kind of boring. It didn't really. I think that the beginning was fine. I think the end, the last sequence in the snow was pretty cool, well constructed. I thought the story was decent throughout, and I could actually follow it for the most part. But the entire middle, I would say, like the half hour in the middle of this 53-minute OVA, about half an hour of it was pretty boring. And I was just kind of sitting there like, okay, what's, I get it. And much like the first round, right? You have this character with Asuka. In this one, it's Nogi. In the last one, it was Yoko that is affected by a lot of things going around. And Asuka feels that need to protect this person. And I like the Asuka character a lot for that reason. And I like that she's some badass, but she also has a soft side to her. And that's like a big theme for her.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you didn't get as much of her soft side in this one as you did the first one.
And in the first one...
You lost a little dimension.
You're right. The first one, it's funny because you gained dimension in the art, but you lost dimension in the characters and the storytelling. Exactly, because the first story with Yoko in the first OVA going to prostitution and stuff and all that, and getting involved in all these horrible things, and Asuka not liking her at first, and then over time seeing her struggles. It was definitely made more of an impact, I thought. And the thing is, if I called that one bad, the art style is the art style, and I thought the soundtrack was good in this one as well. But I don't remember the music at all. I'm also gonna have to call this bad. Really? I thought it was bad. Okay. I think it takes a lot for me to call something bad, but in this particular case, I know I'm going off of
this is the only time you've called something bad, and I haven't.
I know this is kind of a weird setup for this one because I thought this was just particularly pretty boring, and also the first one was better in my mind. Art is, right, the art style, some things left out, right? Some things are blotchy, whatever. It's like 1987. I can let them have some things.
So
I can forgive some things. But the story in the first one was just better. I was intrigued more often. I had a better time watching it. I thought they had more dimensions. The plot was a little more disjointed, sure, and like a little like wonky, which is why I said it was bad. But this one was just kind of like not as good in a lot of ways, and other than the final fight scene with Yoko, I didn't really see much in it that would make me put it above the first OVA, besides the consistent artwork. So I'm gonna say it's bad.
You're gonna go with bad, and you know what? I completely understand where you're coming from. It's just it's really tough because I remember on the first episode I flip-flopped on Hana No Asuka Gumi, the original. I flip-flopped for the first time because I just couldn't handle it. And I'm probably going to flip-flop this one for the rest of my career as a podcaster. We have an idea down the pike once we get our 50th episode. And I'm going to have to revisit my decisions on both of these shows. But for right now, I'm going to let it stand. I'm going to call the first one bad for the disjointed plot and the splotchy art design, but with some compelling moments. This one I'm calling not bad because it's it's better constructed, and the Yoko stuff was cool with her beating the shit out of her sister. There's a couple really big scenes in there, but the whole package was presented better. I wasn't as bored as you were, probably. But, was it the most exciting OVA we've seen? No. We've watched Violence Jack and Bow. So we're used to some wild
Not much can be more exciting. Exciting
knows?
Is a weird way to categorize Violence Jack, but it has tinges of it at times.
And that was also kind of a direct challenge to any of the brave souls who watch this, who listen to this episode all the way to the end. If you have ideas for any more exciting OVAs, just bombard us. We've been getting some comments recently on Instagram. We've been getting some emails, which we appreciate a lot. So just keep them coming in. We want to hear your thoughts. If you disagree with us, call us morons. If you disagree on redo of the healer, I'm just gonna say you're wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, I respect your opinion, but
Yeah, listen. No. As Rob said, if you listened to this, if you listened all the way to here, just number one, why? But also thanks and congratulations for listening to our Hana No Asuka Gumi 2 OVA podcast. If you didn't listen to the first one, I guess go back to that, because literally we put out these podcasts every week and a lot of them perform pretty well. And Hana No Asuka Gumi, everybody just took a look at it in the community and was like, absolutely not. I'm not touching that. I ain't touching that.
I'm good.
So I don't know. If you listen to this one, you're a crazy person, but thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next one, which will be, next week. So keep a lookout, y'all.
It's bad.
Wow, oh my god, what a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you could leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
Simple Equations Podcast Network.